वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभं निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। अपार करुणा सिन्धु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। अपार करुणा सिन्धुं ज्ञानदं शान्तरूपिणं श्रीचन्द्रशेखर गुरुं प्रणमामि मुदान्वहम्। यत्कृपालेशमात्रेण पुमान् पूर्णः प्रजायते तं वन्दे ब्रह्मविद्धुर्यं सद्गुरुं चन्द्रशेखरम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः।
ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः।
अथ षष्ठोऽध्यायः।
अथ षष्ठोऽध्यायः।
श्रीभगवानुवाच
श्रीभगवानुवाच
श्लोक नंबर 35। असंशयं महाबाहो मनो दुर्निग्रहं चलम्
असंशयं महाबाहो मनोदुर्निग्रहं चलम्
अभ्यासेन तु कौन्तेय वैराग्येन च गृह्यते।
अभ्यासेन तु कौन्तेय वैराग्येन च गृह्यते।
When Arjuna complained that Manaha is chanchalam, it is agitated, it is always in a state of the flux. So, tasya nigraham sudushkaram iti ahamanye, he said, difficult to control, manage it, like the vayu, one cannot catch the wind by the hand. Similarly, when Bhagavan replies, answers Arjuna by acknowledging the fact, yes, the mind is chanchalam. It is true. There is no doubt with regard to the chanchalatmakam of the mind. That is how the mind is. It is nigraham, difficult to master, difficult to control. But there is a way. Abhyasena vairagyena cha. Vairagya is very helpful. Vairagya is withdrawing the sense organs from the sense objects, withdrawing the mind. Mind, backed up by the mind only, sense organs can interact with sense objects of the world. Most of the time, our sense organs, they interact with sense objects, therefore picks up pain and pleasure, and that distraction. The distraction of the mind can be avoided if we cut the contact of the sense organs with the sense objects. Even if you physically cut, the mind there is a vritti. In the mind there is always remembrance of the past, anubhava, past experiences. There's a ruchi, there's a taste for it. Therefore, the mind can ruminate in the memories of the past. Then, therefore, only vairagya. It is not enough to cut the contact of the sense organs, the sense objects. That is to start with dhamma. But one must develop vairagya. One must be disinterested with regard to the experiences, pleasant experiences of the sense object, even so at the level of mind. So that is vairagya. So when Vairagya is there, therefore sense objects, whether physically present or mentally present, mentally it cannot be because the person has Vairagya. So that will not distract the person from the object of meditation. That's why Vairagya. Second one is Abhyasa, by practice. So Abhyasa backed up by Vairagya. So both, or both. It is possible. See, we saw and here. The Abhyasa is one of the methods by which this can practice is japa, chanting of a particular mantra. So that is what we saw. Japa is a means of mastering the mind. So next is thought, since it is unpredictable, in the japa, we deliberately make the next thought to be a fixed one, the mantra. Because the next thought can be anything. So therefore, by repeating the mantra, so we make the mind hold on to the mantra. Therefore, the next thought also must be with regard to the mantra itself. So it's a practice. Since the next thought is not predictable, it can be anything. Therefore, what will be the next thought? It is unpredictable. Therefore, it creates a predictable next thought. It can be anything. Since you cannot predict it, what it will be. Therefore, you can create a predictable situation. Then you can understand how the mind moves. In such a case, in this way, how to create a hold over the mind. So that is why the mantra is a useful process, useful method. And it is never given up even by sannyasi. Important. Now, from here we have to read the usefulness of a mantra. A brahmachari has a mantra, a grasta has a mantra, a vanaprastha has a mantra, a sannyasi also has a mantra. Amsa mantra, sannyasi chants. There is no one who is without a word that is meaningful, either chosen by the person or given to that person. Given to that person by the Guru. Diksha, mantra diksha. A particular mantra is important because it gives you a certain hold. That is why japa of some sort is always common to all traditions. Christian traditions or even Islam also, it is their mantra. So it gives you this particular capacity of knowing exactly what is going to happen next. In this, it is only situation when the mind is predictable, where the mind is predictable. Even when you find yourself dwelling upon a particular object, you do not know what your next thought is going to be. Because the next thought is unpredictable, the mind has its own way of thinking. So when you decide to dwell upon a given object, you inquire into it. We're not very clear about how the inquiry is going to proceed because the next thought may carry you away from the object of inquiry. Whereas here, that is in the japa method, the japam, repetition being what it is. So you have a definite occupation. You make the mind ruminate on the fixed mantra, the word. So this gives you a handle over the mind so that when it moves away, you understand what is happening. And again, you bring it back to the object of meditation. So here, Atma is as though the object of meditation in order to make the mind abide in the Atma, to make the mind Atma Samstha. This Abhyasa, this practice is a meditation that is in keeping with the teaching. Atma Samstam Manakrutta Nakinchidapi Chintaye, as we saw before. Placing the mind in the Atma, it means appreciating that the meditator, the meditated, and the meditation all are one. Atma Samstam Manakrutta. Atma is not an object. So as though the object of meditation, in order to make the mind abide in the Atma, this Abhyasa, this practice, this Abhyasa, this is a meditation that is in keeping with the teaching. So making the mind ruminate on the Atma, the teaching of Atma. So this repeating it, it's called Abhyasa. Even in Sanskritam, Abhyasa is duplication. It's a technical word. In Sanskrit Vyakarana, Abhyasa, duplication happens. Because of this Abhyasa, you learn the ways of the mind. Come to have some insight about it. In this particular Abhyasa practice, even the object of distraction becomes the object of meditation, as discussed here earlier. Why? Because the object of distraction also is Atma. The object of meditation, as though the object of meditation, that is Atma, when the mind goes away from the object of meditation, the object of distraction also Atma only. Wherever the mind goes, Atma is. So Atma is never away. So therefore, even the object of distraction becomes an object of meditation. Wherever the mind goes, there is Atma is. Therefore, meditate. So therefore, mind is never away from the Atma. So wherever the mind goes, I turn my attention. Yatra yatra manoyati, tatra tatra samadhayaha. Turning the attention from one thing to another becomes contemplation, in which the attention moves from the object to the very basis of the object, Atma. Therefore, there is no real distraction. So from the object of contemplation, if it moves to another object, then go to the very basis of the object, that is Atma. Therefore, you are never away from Atma. Therefore, there is no real distraction. What is Nididhyasana and contemplation is appreciation of a fact. What is that fact? In this way, the distance between the thought and the self becomes very clear. The object is this. The thought is this. This thought is not everything. Thought is imbued with the self. This becomes very clear. If I turn my attention towards the Atma, then it becomes contemplation, Nididhyasanam. I appreciate this. The Atma is independent of the thought. Atma is, thought is. Thought is not Atma is. So Atma is independent of the thought. So the thought has existence because of Atma. In spite of the thought, the thought be there. Atma always is there. In fact, thought doesn't exist independent of Atma. So therefore, Atma is independent of the thought. The more you appreciate this fact, then what is thought? Thought becomes purely a role. It is not taken as everything. So therefore, it will not bother you. This is the distance. You appreciate the distance between you and the thought. Thought is not you. So therefore, this is the distance we come to know, a distance that doesn't imply a physical distance or a particular condition of the mind. It is inside, understanding, appreciation itself. And this appreciation becomes a reality. So thought comes and you become the witness only. So you are not that. So there is a gap. So you appreciate that Atma is independent of the thought. The thought is not everything. Therefore, thought comes and thought goes away. So therefore, this then is a practice that Bhagavan says to enable to master the mind. A distance. A distance is created between you and the thought. When you identify with the thought, then you react to the thought. Now there's a clear distance. Therefore, thought also ceases to be a real distraction. It doesn't distract you anymore. Why the mind wanders? The second means, okay, Abhyasa is talked about. Now the Vairagya. What is the reason for the mind to wander here and there? The second means for making the mind abide in itself, mentioned by Bhagavan, is Vairagya, objectivity. Why does the mind go here and there in the first place? First of all, why the mind is always in a flux? Because the mind goes elsewhere because purely due to lack of interest. Lack of interest and therefore lack of commitment. The nature of mind is to go wherever there is something, wherever there is something more interesting, more pleasing, more attractive. Some interest must be there, therefore it goes. Towards that it goes. Thus, without you trying to dwell upon anything in particular, the mind naturally goes towards the objects that it finds more interesting. And naturally, they are these sense objects. Paranchikani vitranat swayambhu, parang pashyati. Kathopanishad, it is said. Kani indriyani always are extrovert. So in the sense objects, sense organs reveal, and therefore mind also goes along with sense objects. It interests the mind. Therefore, mind is after that. Therefore, the mind goes towards an object of love and towards an object of pain also, since pain also requires some attention. Mind doesn't have logic. So attention either because of pain or pleasure, the mind goes towards that. These are the two places towards which the mind goes without any effort on your part. That is why when you experience some pleasure, the mind naturally revels in that, abides in that Similarly, with pain also. When you have small pain anywhere in the body or headache, the mind dwells on the pain, not on the comfort of the other parts of the body, dwells on the pain. Pain becomes more requires more serious attention because the mind dwells on it. So therefore, object of love, object of pain, towards which the mind goes. Therefore, mind requires pain or love, the pleasure requires attention. Therefore, mind goes towards that. So these are the two places towards which the mind, without any effort, goes on your part. Why? Because one is interesting, other one is attention. In an object of love, there is certain joy, a certain pleasantness to which the mind naturally goes. That is why people are after the sense pleasures. And towards any object that hurts or has hurt you, naturally the mind goes. So when somebody hurts you, that towards the person who was hurt, mind keeps ruminating about the hurt and the person who was hurt because it requires attention, not because it is interesting. It is the mind pays more attention. Right? So therefore, and towards any object that hurts you or has hurt you, the mind naturally goes quite naturally. One is positive, whereas the other being something requires attention is negative. So one is out of pleasantness, and the second one because it requires attention, negative. So objects of pain can be taken care of by abhyasa, objects of pain, because they are painful, that requires attention by repeatedly bringing the mind back to the object of meditation, by abhyasa, by creating the gap, distance, mental distance between you and the objects of pain. That can be created by abhyasa, practice, whereas with regard to the objects of pleasure, vairagya is required. Vairagya is with reference to objects of love. So raga and dvesha. With regard to dvesha, abhyasa, with regard to raga, vairagyam. So raga dvesha alone makes the mind distracted. Therefore, that is taken care relatively by karma yoga and in the seat of meditation by vairagya and abhyasa. Abhyasa takes care of dvesha and raga by vairagyam, objects of love by vairagyam. By abhyasa, a certain distance can be developed between oneself and the pain. Although this may take some time, that's why abhyasa practice. It's a continuous practice. Vairagya is mentioned here separately because the source of all desires for happiness and security is what we call shobhana adhyasa, meaning that you superimpose certain qualities upon various objects in the world that are not really there in the object, but superimposed. And then you think that brings you happiness and security. It's called shobhana adhyasa. The happiness and security are not really in the object, but you superimpose. Atasmin tad buddhihi adhyasaha. So wishing, you do this superimposition. That a particular object is going to make me more secure. It's one such attribute. Or by achieving this or that, I'm going to be different. I'm going to become somebody. I'm going to be acceptable to myself, to others. First to others and then to myself. So this is Shobhana Adhyasa. Why we seek acceptance from others? Because we are not acceptable to others, therefore we seek acceptance from others. Because of the lack of self-acceptance. The seeking acceptability is from others nothing but self-acceptance. Self-acceptance through others. Because we are not acceptable to ourselves, therefore we seek acceptance to others, so that we can accept ourselves as we are. First of all, why should one accept you? So that you can accept yourself. Therefore, seeking the acceptance of others can always reduce to self-acceptance. Whether you seek the acceptance of others or you seek self-acceptance, it amounts to self-acceptance alone. Others accept you or not, that depends. But you can accept yourself. That is why self-acceptance should not be dependent on acceptance of others. That's a drawback. Either you seek acceptance to others, or you yourself understand that you don't accept yourself and trying to find whether the self is acceptable, which is the real way of dealing with the problem, in fact. So the real way of dealing with the problem is see that self is acceptable or not. Seeking self-acceptance, then we superimpose certain attributes upon certain objects, thinking that a particular object is capable of giving something more than it can really give. Adhyasa, you superimpose certain attributes on that, and therefore it becomes more acceptable. Superimposing attributes that do not belong to the objects is what is called adhyasa, atasmin tad buddhi. That which is not there in the object, that is superimposed. What is superimposed? That's called adhyasta, something positive according to your thinking. Then it is called shobana adhyasa. Shobana adhyasa. Shobana means pleasing, that which is very pleasing, for which there is certain enchantment and infatuation. This infatuation or obsession is nothing but a superimposition. Shobana adhyasa. Because of the shobana adhyasa only, there is lack of vairagyam. Shobana adhyasa is there, therefore there is distraction of the sense organs towards the sense objects. Shobana adhyasa, you see that which is not there, you superimpose and develop a love and attraction. The meaning of vairagya, objectivity. The absence of shobana adhyasa is what is meant by vairagya. Shobana adhyasa, abhavaha, absence of shobana adhyasa. So adhyasa is not there. Superimposition is not there. You see the things as they are. That's what is called objectivity. Don't superimpose the attributes which are not there. Superimposing and then thinking that they would be pleasing, that is Shobana Adhyasa. So, absence of that is what is Vairagya. So, Vairagya means objectivity. It's a beautiful translation. Vairagya means objectivity. Dispassion, the second best translation, dispassion. Disinterest also. So, our Vairagya enables one to separate the objective attributes of any object from the subjective superimpositions one may have placed upon it. So, since adhyas are not there, therefore, he is able to see the attributes clearly, separately from that on which it is superimposed. When superimposed attributes are understood attributes that are superimposed, then the object is reduced to its own status. Therefore, the object will now it will not be, it will not attract you. It will not attract you anymore because it gained the status of attraction because of the superimposed attributes, but an inquiry when the superimposed attributes are reduced to the object, means it are removed, then object ceases to be an object of attraction. You see the object as it is. This is objectivity. To think, for example, that the absence of money makes you a nobody, it's not true. Absence of money makes you moneyless, not that nobody. You are a person not having money, moneyless. That's all, not nobody. This is a fact. The absence of money makes you moneyless. Moneyless means you cannot buy things. You don't have the buying power, purchasing power. That is another fact, which can be followed by still more facts. Fine. But that you cannot buy is true. That you cannot afford to buy is true. You can't buy on credit also is true, since you have no money to pay later. Even if you buy on credit and don't pay it back, the time will come when you cannot buy on credit either. So, who is going to give you credit if you don't pay? Endlessly, then one can talk about facts. But that I am nobody is not a fact. That is superimposition. The feeling of being a nobody is something very intimate because one has a stereotype of success, the conditioning that takes place by growing up in a society where money is respected with awe and wonder. In such a society, a person's success is talked about or measured only in terms of money. So to value money in this way is really a meaningless reality. Meaningless, really. Any mafia don, any mercenary or hitman may also have a lot of money. Just because a person has money doesn't mean the person is successful. Nevertheless, this is the orientation of some societies in the world. This is what is adhyasa is. So success is measured with money. So money makes a person a complete. He has all, everything. So that is not true. Absence of money also doesn't make a person nothing. So since money is given is such importance, therefore the person who doesn't have money is looked upon as nobody. But it is not a fact. There is also another orientation that to be moneyless is something wonderful. This is another side. Sannyasi, for example, moneyless, who, who doesn't have anything. That is also seems to be wonderful. This orientation without money, one should be able to live one's life. This is another side. This is also is adhyasa only. Therefore, the person who lives without money, even a beggar who lives in the streets, is highly prized because he doesn't have anything. Therefore, he is free, thinking that he is free. This orientation also is equally silly. So both sides are silly. To see the money as a money only, objective outlook towards money. Money, of course, it gives you the buying power. It is a fact. It is required, but not everything is money. So not having money is also a problem, and not giving importance to money is also a problem. That is also a type, yes, adhyasa, superimposition, and giving importance to money, too much importance than what is required. That is also a problem. That is also adhyasa. So both are adhyasa. Both orientation places a value on money, which is a problem. One places positive value, other one places negative value. Both are problem. Therefore, the problem is not the money itself. Then what is the money? Money is just money. It is neither the problem nor the solution. Although money can solve some problems like anything else. Even a toothpick can also solve certain problems. This superimposition, it is the superimposition is not deliberate. It is not deliberate. What is deliberate superimposition? Deliberate superimposition, we'll see. Link Shalagrame Vishnu Avahanam. Deliberate superimposition. Upasana and deliberate superimposition. Whereas the superimposition here, what we talk about is not deliberate. Therefore, to think that money is a source of problem is not correct. That is superimposition, which is not deliberately done by a person, but is something innate in the psyche, in the mind of the person, that is exposed to a certain value structure obtaining in a given society, causing the person to place an attribute on money that is not really there. It's all conditioned by the society. The mind of the person is conditioned, thinking of the mind of the person is conditioned by the society. Therefore, it places so much value on the money. So, therefore, it is not deliberately done. It is something naturally is there in the mind of the person, caused by the conditioning of the society. This superimposition is what is called Shobana Adhyasa. And that has to be neutralized by looking at money as money and nothing more. Here, money is not undervalued. Money is the purchasing power, no doubt. But money doesn't make a person everything. Person may have a lot of money, but health is not there. Then what is the use of the money? So therefore, money is not everything. For a person who lacks health, money is not everything. For a person has who is in good health, doesn't have money, he can gain money. At least he has chance to make money, even to become rich. But the one who has lost his health forever, there is no hope for him, even if he has money. Money cannot buy health. So therefore, money is not everything. So giving more value to money what it deserves, that is adhyasa, Shobana adhyasa. Giving more value at the same time not giving value. Both extremes are adhyasa. And this is not deliberate. To say that money has no value is just another adhyasa. This is extreme, another extreme. So you are seeing something that is not true. Similarly, if you add something more to money, then is really that. That is also adhyasa. So therefore, reducing the objects to their own status, to their own nature, the real state, that is enough. So that is by de-superimposition. By doing this, you'll find in yourself a certain dispassion. So that is vairagya. That is why vairagya is translated as dispassion. You see the object as the object. Therefore, naturally, a dispassion, a disinterest develops towards the objects, whether it be money or any objects. That is what is called vairagya. So the psychology behind using the word dispassion as a translation for Vairagya is this. So when you know the nature, real nature of the objects, naturally you develop a distance, you develop a certain dispassion for the object. Objects will no more be of interest to you. That is called Vairagya. So objectivity, best translation, objectivity. A person is dispassionate because he looks at the objects as they are, doesn't add anything or subtract anything from the object. A person is dispassionate in the sense that he or she is objective in his or her judgments, outlook. Vairagya is understood more in terms of objectivity. Unless we understand its meaning very clearly, there will be more problems. Yes. What Vairagya is important. Vairagya is neither hatred, it also should be. Hatred doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't mean there are no desires. To think so means every desire becomes a new source of problem. Whenever every time desire arises, then it becomes a problem. So we are not creating any ideals here, which would only further distance ourselves from ourselves. Therefore, we must be very careful not to pick up any further confusion here. Vairagya means to be free of the longing that implies superimposition, Shobhana Atyasa. Nobody can interpret better than this. So free of the longing that arises out of understanding, seeing clearly that objects do not have those attributes, do not enjoy those attributes. Therefore, that naturally arises a special disinterest. That is called Vairagya. And this is accomplished by neutralizing Shobhana Dhyasa, thereby judging situations properly. It's a long one, so we'll stop here. Important topic. Vairagya is explained what is Vairagya. Neutralizing the superimposition that we'll see tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Harihi Om Dhanyavadaha.